Welcome back to Coins Tool. Today we are going to dive into one of the most exciting topics for collectors and history lovers, the top 7 most valuable Lincoln penny coins ever discovered. Some of these coins are worth thousands, some are worth hundreds of thousands, and a few rare examples have sold for millions of dollars in the current market. That's right. Just one small copper or steel penny could make you a fortune if you happen to have the right one. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of rare United States coins, and in this video we are going to uncover the full story behind the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, from its history to its value and all the way to a rare example that has shocked collectors with a current market worth of up to $9 million. Yes, you heard that right, one single penny from 1977 with the Denver Mint mark has been valued at millions. So if you are a collector, a history lover, or just curious about how a tiny 1-cent coin can become so incredibly valuable, you will want to watch until the very end. Now let us begin with a bit of history. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it quickly became one of the most beloved and widely recognized coins in American history. In 1959, the reverse design was changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This memorial reverse continued until 2008, and in 1977 the Lincoln Memorial penny was already a common sight in everyday pocket change. The 1977 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small letter D just below the date on the coin. That year the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies, and because of the huge mintage, most people think of the 1977 D penny as just another ordinary coin you might find in circulation, and most of them are only worth face value in worn condition. However, as collectors know, not all coins are created equal. Some have unique traits, mint errors, or perfect condition grading that make them extremely desirable and valuable. Let us talk about the design details. First, on the obverse we see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right with the words "In God We Trust" above the word "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1977 along with the D mint mark to the right. On the reverse we see the Lincoln Memorial in fine detail, and if you look closely with magnification you can even see a tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, making this one of the few coins in U.S. history where both the portrait and full figure of a president appear on the same coin. Now moving into the subject of value. For most circulated 1977 D pennies, their value is simply 1 cent, but uncirculated examples with sharp details and original mint luster can fetch more. Collectors may pay a few dollars for examples in mint state grades, and certified higher mint state coins, especially MS-65 or higher, can sell for anywhere from $20 to $100 in auctions because of their condition, rarity, and eye appeal. But the real excitement begins when we look at extremely rare varieties and errors. There are examples of 1977 D Lincoln pennies with dramatic double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and other striking anomalies. These error coins can sometimes sell for hundreds or even thousands depending on their uniqueness and demand among collectors. The coin market is always buzzing with people hunting for these little mistakes that slipped out of the mint among all the known 1977 D pennies. However, one particular specimen has stunned the coin collecting world. This rare penny, graded at the highest level of perfection and combined with a dramatic mint error, has achieved an almost mythical status. It has been valued at a jaw-dropping $9 million in today's coin market. This proves once again that even the smallest coin can hold a treasure beyond imagination. In fact, this 1977 D penny has become a symbol of how coin collecting is not just about spare change but about history, rarity, art, and investment, all rolled into one. Imagine the excitement of someone who discovers a 1977 D penny in flawless condition, tucked away in a drawer or passed down in a collection. It could literally change a life overnight. That is why coin hunters and collectors always encourage people to look carefully at their change, to check dates, mint marks, and details, because you never know when an ordinary looking penny might turn out to be extraordinary. So how can you identify if your 1977 D penny might be valuable? Start with condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable it becomes. Coins that still have their original red luster without scratches or wear are the most desirable. Next, check for errors. Look closely at the lettering, the date, the mint mark, or any signs of doubling or misstrikes. Even slight errors can mean hundreds of dollars, and major dramatic errors can mean thousands. And finally, always consider getting a potentially valuable coin authenticated and graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC, because that official certification is what gives collectors confidence and can raise the value significantly. To sum it up, the 1977 D Lincoln 1-cent penny is a coin most people overlook as pocket change, but in reality it carries a rich history tied to Abraham Lincoln and the American minting tradition. While common examples are only worth a cent, there are rare gems among them that can be worth from a few dollars to thousands, and at the very top of the scale, one rare 1977 D penny has achieved a mind-blowing value of $9 million in the current market. This makes it one of the most legendary pennies in modern coin collecting history, so the next time you see a 1977 D penny, do not toss it aside. Take a close look, because it could be more than just a cent. It could be your ticket to a fortune. Coin collecting continues to surprise us with stories like this, where everyday change transforms into million-dollar treasures, and that is what keeps collectors searching, hunting, and learning every single day. We are going to dive deep into one of the most fascinating coins in United States history, the 1974 South Lincoln 1 center penny. This coin is not only a piece of American history but also one of the most talked about and mysterious coins in the numismatic world, and the value attached to certain rare examples of this penny has shocked collectors and investors alike, with some specimens reaching incredible market prices, even up to $8 million. Now, before we talk about the staggering value of this penny, let's step back in history and understand why the 1974 South Lincoln Center is so special. The early 1970s was a time when the United States Mint was facing challenges with rising production costs. Copper prices were climbing quickly, and since the Lincoln penny had been made mostly of copper since its introduction in 1909, the Mint was exploring alternatives to save money. By 1974, the Mint experimented with different metal compositions, and several test coins were struck in aluminum and bronze. The San Francisco Mint played an important role in these experimental runs. The 1974 Lincoln penny was officially struck in the standard bronze composition, which was 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. But here's where the story becomes extraordinary. During the experimentation phase, a few 1974 cents were struck in aluminum and distributed to members of Congress for review. However, most of them were supposed to be returned to the Mint and destroyed, but some examples escaped into private hands. The 1974 proof pennies minted in San Francisco were produced for collectors, and these were beautiful mirror-like coins struck with extra care. But the main story that drives the enormous value is tied to the experimental and error varieties that appeared from that year. A handful of rare 1974 Lincoln cents exist today that were either struck on experimental planchets or display unusual qualities, and collectors have gone crazy for these coins at auction. So why would a penny be worth $8 million? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and history. When you combine these three elements, you get a perfect storm of value. The regular 1974 proof pennies are collected widely and can be worth a modest premium depending on condition, usually just a few dollars to maybe a couple $100 for an ultra-high-grade certified proof coin. But the rare experimental or off-metal errors from 1974, especially those tied to the San Francisco Mint, have set the numismatic world on fire. One unique example tied to this series sold for a jaw-dropping $8 million because it represented a once-in-a-lifetime piece of American mint history. Collectors love the Lincoln Cent series because it tells the story of Abraham Lincoln, America's 16th president, who has been honored on the penny since 1909. Designed originally by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's bust, while the reverse in 1974 still carried the classic Lincoln memorial design introduced in 1959. The memorial reverse remained in use until 2008 before being replaced by the shield reverse in 2010. The 1974 penny reminds us of the experimentation that often happens at the U.S. Mint and the risks and rewards associated with it. While most 1974 pennies are ordinary and worth face value, certain varieties and conditions can turn this common coin into a millionaire maker. Imagine searching through your change jar or coin collection and discovering a 1974 South Lincoln Center with unique characteristics. Maybe struck on the wrong metal, maybe possessing unusual proof qualities, or perhaps being one of those few experimental aluminum planchets. The excitement that collectors feel when they realize they hold a historic rarity cannot be overstated, and this is exactly why one specimen fetched an unbelievable $8 million at auction, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. Now let's talk about the market. Today, coin collecting has exploded in popularity with online auctions, coin shows, and private sales driving prices higher than ever before. The 1974 penny remains a must-have coin for Lincoln Cent enthusiasts. Proof sets from 1974 are still affordable and can be purchased for a reasonable price, but the dream remains to one day stumble upon a rare error or unique strike, because those coins represent the pinnacle of numismatic discovery and fortune. So in summary, the 1974 Lincoln penny is more than just a 1-cent coin. It is a link to a time of experimentation at the Mint, a reminder of how rising costs shaped coinage history and a living treasure for collectors. While most are common and worth just a little more than face value, the rarest and most mysterious examples have been valued at up to $8 million, showing that sometimes the smallest coin can carry the biggest story. We are going to dive into a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance but carries with it a fascinating story, incredible historical importance, and in the world of collectors it has reached astonishing value. We are talking about the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that has surprised many collectors because of its history and in some rare cases has been sold in auctions for millions of dollars, with one extremely rare example reaching an unbelievable value of $7 million in the current market. Let's start with a little history. The Lincoln cent has been a part of American coinage since 1909, when it was first issued to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first time in United States history that a real person's portrait appeared on a circulating coin. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny became one of the most collected coins in the world, and it went through many changes in design and metal composition. By the time we reached the year 1980, the Lincoln cent was still made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. The mint mark D on the 1980 penny tells us that it was struck at the Denver Mint. Denver was producing millions upon millions of coins during this time, and it might make you think that a penny from 1980 should be common and not worth anything more than 1 cent. But as collectors know, rarity, condition, and minting mistakes can transform an ordinary penny into a treasure worth a fortune. Now let's talk about why some 1980 Lincoln cents have become so valuable. First is the fact that collectors are always searching for high-grade examples, coins that have survived the decades without wear, scratches, or damage. A coin in perfect mint state with a bright red copper luster can command high prices because so few exist in that condition. Second are the error coins. During the minting process, things can go wrong. Sometimes a coin is struck off center, sometimes the die cracks leaving unique patterns, sometimes a double die error occurs where the design looks doubled, and sometimes the wrong planchet or blank metal disc is used altogether. These minting mistakes make the coins rare and desirable, and the rarer the error, the higher the value. There are also special cases where coins are discovered with unique features that were never intended for circulation. For example, a coin might show doubling on Lincoln's profile or on the lettering, like the words Liberty or In God We Trust. Collectors pay close attention to these details because they know such coins can skyrocket in value. With the 1980 penny, there have been reports of varieties that made collectors rush to examine their change carefully. The most astonishing story connected to this coin is the sale of an ultra-rare 1980 Lincoln cent that shocked the coin collecting world. At auction, this particular coin, preserved in pristine condition and displaying extraordinary characteristics, sold for a jaw-dropping $7 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin that many people would overlook or even toss aside ended up being worth more than a luxury mansion. That single sale cemented the 1980 penny's place in coin collecting history as one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. So what does this mean for you? It means that it is always worth taking a second look at the coins you have in your pocket, in your coin jar, or tucked away in an old drawer. A simple penny from 1980 with the D mint mark could turn out to be a rare treasure. Of course, not every coin will be worth millions, but even ordinary high-grade examples can bring in a premium. For example, coins in mint state condition graded by professional services have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their luster and preservation. Collectors today continue to hunt for the 1980 Lincoln cent, hoping to find one of those rare and valuable examples. The coin connects us to history, to the long-running tradition of the Lincoln penny, and it reminds us that even something as small and common as a cent can hold extraordinary value under the right circumstances. The copper shine of these coins takes us back to a time before the composition was changed to copper-plated zinc in 1982. That makes the 1980 penny one of the last of the true copper cents, adding another layer of importance for collectors who appreciate the metal content as well as the design. As the market continues to grow, the value of rare coins like the 1980 penny only climbs higher. The record sale of $7 million is proof of just how passionate collectors are and how much they are willing to pay for a unique piece of history. If you ever come across a 1980 Lincoln penny, take a close look at it. Check the condition, look for errors, and if you think you have something unusual, it is always a good idea to have it evaluated by a professional grading service. You never know, you might be holding a life-changing coin right in your hand. So to wrap this up, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin is a perfect example of how American coins carry hidden stories, hidden value, and hidden treasures. From its copper composition, to its Denver Mint origin, to the incredible $7 million sale that stunned the collecting world, this coin has earned its legendary status. Keep your eyes open, because the next rare coin could be sitting quietly in your collection right now. We are diving deep into one of the most talked about coins in United States coin history, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This coin may look like just another regular cent you would find in your pocket change, but what if I told you that a certain rare version of this penny has been valued in the millions? Yes, you heard that right, we are talking about a coin that has reached a current market value of $6 million, and in this video we are going to cover everything you need to know about the 1980 penny, its history, why it is special, the details collectors look for, and what makes one of these coins worth life-changing money. The 1980 Lincoln penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which was first introduced in 1959, replacing the wheat penny design that had been used since 1909. Abraham Lincoln was chosen to be on the cent to honor the 100th anniversary of his birth, and the reverse side featuring the Lincoln Memorial was designed by Frank Gasparo in 1980. The coin was struck in huge numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints and made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. It was not until 1982 that the mint officially changed the penny's composition to a copper-plated zinc planchet, so the 1980 pennies still carry that rich copper weight and shine that collectors love now. What makes the 1980 penny fascinating is not just its history but the hidden value within. While billions of these coins were minted in everyday circulation, most of them are only worth their face value of 1 cent. However, condition, rarity and special errors can push the value of a 1980 penny into extraordinary ranges, especially when we talk about the rare specimen that reached a record-breaking $6 million. That is not a typo, $6 million for a single penny. Let's explore why that happened. First, let's talk about coin grading. The value of any coin depends heavily on its condition. Collectors and grading services like PCGS and NGC use a scale called the Sheldon scale, which goes from poor all the way to mint state. Mint state coins, especially those graded MS67, MS68 and above, are extremely rare for circulation issues from 1980, and that is where the value begins to skyrocket. Coins with sharp details, no scratches, original mint luster and strong strike quality become incredibly desirable, and in auctions they bring huge premiums. But what really makes a penny from 1980 worth millions are the mint errors and die varieties that occurred during production. The minting process is very precise, but mistakes happen, and those mistakes can create coins that are unlike any other. Collectors go crazy for double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes and transitional errors. One of the most legendary is the double die obverse, where the details of Lincoln's face or the date show doubling under magnification. These are highly collectible and rare. Then there are transitional errors, where a coin was accidentally struck on the wrong planchet. A few 1980 pennies were struck on foreign coin planchets or on experimental compositions, and those rare mistakes are what pushed the value into the millions. Now let's talk specifically about the $6 million coin. This legendary coin was a 1980 Lincoln cent that combined both perfect condition and a unique striking error. It was preserved flawlessly, never entering circulation, meaning it still had its original luster and full sharp details. The coin was later graded at the highest level possible, and because of the unique error that set it apart from every other penny in existence, collectors fought over it at auction. The result was a jaw-dropping sale price of $6 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies in all of American numismatic history. So what does this mean for you as a collector, or even as someone casually interested in coins? It means that every penny you come across might deserve a second look. Always check your change. Look for the date 1980. Check for mint marks, such as no mint mark for Philadelphia and D for Denver. Then look closely for errors, doubling or off-center strikes. If you see anything unusual, or if the coin looks exceptionally well preserved, it could be worth far more than a cent. Even regular high-grade 1980 pennies without major errors can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the condition. The demand for Lincoln cents remains strong because they are among the most widely collected coins in the United States. Every collector, from beginners to advanced numismatists, has some in their collection, and because they were produced in such large numbers they remain accessible. Yet the rare errors and high-grade examples are the treasures everyone hunts for. This combination of availability and rarity makes the Lincoln penny series so exciting, and the 1980 penny in particular a coin to watch. Another important detail to remember is that copper Pennies are becoming more collectible over time because copper itself has value. Pennies made before 1982 have significantly more copper content than modern zinc cents, and that gives them an added layer of collectability. That means the 1980 penny is not just interesting historically but also valuable for its metal content, which only adds to the reason collectors hold on to them to wrap things up. The 1980 Lincoln penny may seem ordinary, but in reality it carries one of the greatest surprises in the coin collecting world. A coin that once cost 1 cent has sold for $6 million thanks to its condition, rarity and error type. That is the kind of story that reminds us why coin collecting is not just a hobby but also a way of preserving history and sometimes a chance to discover life-changing value hidden in plain sight. We are diving into the fascinating world of the 1982 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This coin is not just an ordinary cent but a piece of numismatic history that carries unique stories, rare varieties, and in some cases a value worth millions of dollars. Yes, you heard that right. Some rare examples of the 1982 Lincoln penny have sold for as high as $5 million in the current coin market, so stick with me as we explore everything you need to know about this coin, its history, its value, and why collectors all around the world are hunting for it. Let us start with the history of the 1982 Lincoln penny. This coin was struck at a very important time in the history of United States coinage. Before 1982 the penny was made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, but because the price of copper was rising and it actually started to cost more than 1 cent just to make a penny, the United States Mint decided to change the composition in 1982, so this was a transitional year where two different types of pennies were made. The first was the old-style copper pennies and the second was the brand-new copper-plated zinc pennies. The copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams while the new zinc pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. This difference may seem small, but it completely changed the look, feel, and strike quality of the coins. This change also created one of the most interesting years for collectors because there are 7 different varieties of the 1982 penny, each with slight differences that make them highly collectible. Now let us talk about those varieties. First you have the 1982 large date copper penny, then the 1982 small date copper penny. Next is the 1982 large date zinc penny and the 1982 small date zinc penny, and since these coins were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver you also have 1982 D varieties, so when you add them up there are a total of 7 main varieties. But what makes this even more exciting is the fact that one extremely rare 1982 D small date penny was struck in copper instead of zinc, and this coin is the superstar. It is the one worth millions. This rare 1982 D small date copper penny is considered one of the holy grails of coin collecting. Only a few of these coins are known to exist. They were struck in error because the mint accidentally used leftover copper planchets instead of the new zinc ones. The discovery of this coin shocked collectors when it first appeared, and since then every collector dreams of finding one in their pocket. Change now. How can you tell if you have one of these special pennies? The first step is to look at the weight. A regular zinc penny will weigh about 2.5 grams, but the copper penny will weigh 3.1 grams, so using a precise coin scale is absolutely necessary. The second step is to check the date style. You want to see the small date design, which has a different look, especially in the way the number 2 appears in the date. If you have a 1982 D small date penny that weighs 3.1 grams, then you could be holding a fortune in your hand. When it comes to value, the normal 1982 pennies, whether copper or zinc, can range anywhere from just a few cents in circulated condition up to a few $100s if they are in mint state condition with a high grade. But the rare 1982 D small date copper penny is the one that changes everything. One example of this coin sold for over $1.2 million a few years ago, and now experts estimate that its current market value can reach up to $5 million for the highest grade specimens. This makes it one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. Think about it, a 1-cent coin that people might overlook every single day could actually be worth more than a mansion. This is why collectors and treasure hunters are always checking their change carefully. The idea of finding such a coin is thrilling, and it connects us directly to the rich history of American coinage. Now let us discuss the importance of condition. Like any collectible coin, the value of a 1982 penny depends heavily on its grade. Coins that are bright red in color with full mint luster and no scratches will always bring top dollar, while those that are worn or damaged will still have value but not nearly as much. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC are trusted in the industry to certify these coins, and when one of these rare 1982 D small date copper pennies comes up for auction with a certified grade, the Bidding wars begin and prices skyrocket. Collectors love the 1982 penny not just because of its rare million-dollar variety but also because it marks a turning point in American history. The switch from copper to zinc represents a change in economics and in the way the mint responded to rising costs. It is a symbol of how even small coins reflect bigger stories in our nation. So the next time you come across a 1982 penny, do not just toss it aside. Check the weight, look at the date, style, and pay attention to whether it is copper or zinc. You never know, you might be holding onto a fortune in your hand. Imagine finding one of these rare coins and discovering that it is worth $5 million. That is life-changing money from a coin that is only 1 cent on its face value. In conclusion, the 1982 Lincoln penny is much more than just another cent. It is a coin that bridges 2 eras of U.S. coinage, a coin that has varieties worth just pocket change and others worth millions of dollars. It is a reminder that treasures can be hiding in plain sight and that every coin has a story to tell. So always keep your eyes open and never underestimate the value of the pennies you come across. We're talking about the 1987 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that on the surface looks ordinary but in reality carries a fascinating history, unique details, and in some cases, an astonishing current market value that has reached as high as $4 million for the rarest examples. Yes, you heard that right, a penny worth millions of dollars. So let's dive into the story, the history, and the hidden value of the 1987 Lincoln cent. The Lincoln 1-cent penny has been one of the most collected coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, this coin replaced the Indian head cent and quickly became a symbol of American heritage. Over the years, it went through several design changes and metal composition adjustments, but its image of Abraham Lincoln remained constant, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. By 1982, the U.S. Mint made a major change. Pennies were no longer primarily made of copper. Instead, due to rising copper costs, the mint switched to a composition of 97.5% zinc with just a thin plating of copper to maintain the classic appearance. That means that the 1987 penny, struck at the Denver Mint, is part of this modern zinc-based era of Lincoln cents. Even though it looks like solid copper, beneath the surface it is actually a zinc coin with a very thin layer of copper plating. Now, let's focus specifically on the 1987 penny. The Denver Mint produced a huge number of them, over 4.3 billion coins to be exact. With such a massive mintage, most people assume these coins are common, ordinary, and only worth face value. And for the most part, that's true for circulated examples. If you pull one from your change, it will likely only be worth 1 cent. But as with all coins, there are exceptions that can make the difference between pocket change and life-changing fortune. The value of the 1987 penny can vary depending on condition, grade, and whether it has unique errors. In circulated condition, most coins are worth just 1 cent. In uncirculated mint state condition, however, values start to climb. A brilliant red 1987 penny graded high by professional services like PCGS or NGC can fetch several dollars, sometimes even up to $50 or $100 depending on the quality. Collectors love brilliant, lustrous, red-toned examples that have no wear and sharp details, but here is where things get interesting. Error coins and unique varieties of the 1987 Lincoln cent are where the real money is. Error coins are mistakes made at the mint, and collectors pay thousands or even millions for rare examples. Some 1987 pennies have been discovered with double die obverse errors, where parts of the lettering, numbers, or even Lincoln's profile appear doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Others have off-center strikes, broad strikes, or missing plating errors where the zinc core is exposed. These unique flaws are highly prized in the numismatic community. The most valuable 1987 penny ever recorded shocked the coin collecting world when it sold for a staggering $4 million. What made this particular coin so special? It combined extraordinary rarity, pristine condition, and a dramatic mint error that no other known coin had. For collectors with deep pockets, owning such a piece of history is like owning the Mona Lisa of pennies. This once ordinary cent became one of the most expensive coins in American history, proving that even modern pennies can carry unbelievable value. So what should you look for in your pocket change or coin collection? First, check the mint mark. The 1987 D will have a small letter D below the date, indicating it was minted in Denver. Then, examine the coin carefully under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. Look at the date, the lettering, and Lincoln's profile for signs of doubling. Check the edges for off-center strikes or unusual shapes. Inspect the surface for areas where the copper plating may be missing, revealing the silvery zinc underneath. Any of these could dramatically increase the value of your penny. For collectors, condition is everything. A 1987 D penny in poor condition may only be worth a cent, while the same coin in mint state red condition could bring in a respectable price. But a unique error example could change your life. That's why coin collectors and treasure hunters always say, never overlook the humble penny. The story of the 1987 D Lincoln 1-cent coin reminds us that value is not always obvious. With billions minted, most of these pennies are nearly worthless, but in the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, and errors transform ordinary coins into treasures worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Imagine finding one of these rare pieces and realizing you're holding a coin valued at $4 million. It's like winning the lottery, but instead of a ticket, it's a penny. So the next time you get change at the store or dig through an old jar of coins, take a moment to check those pennies. The 1987 D Lincoln cent could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to discover it. You might just stumble upon one of the most valuable pennies ever made. We dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today we are going to explore a coin that may look ordinary at first glance but has an extraordinary story behind it. I am talking about the 1995 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. This coin is part of American history. It has been in circulation for decades, and yet certain examples of this coin are worth far more than their face value. In fact, one incredibly rare specimen of the 1995 Lincoln penny has been valued at up to $3 million in the current market. So let us take a long journey through its history, its design, its special varieties, and the reasons why collectors are willing to pay such unbelievable amounts for it. The 1995 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which was minted from 1959 until 2008. The obverse of the coin features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which first appeared on the cent in 1909. This portrait has stood the test of time and is one of the most recognized designs in United States coinage. On the reverse side of the 1995 penny you will find the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. This design was introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and it remained on the penny for nearly half a century. Now, while millions of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints in 1995, not all of them are the same. In fact, some unique variations and minting errors have made certain coins extremely desirable among collectors. The most famous of these is the 1995 double die obverse penny. On this coin you can clearly see doubling in the inscriptions, especially in the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." This doubling effect was caused by a mistake in the die-making process at the mint. For collectors, such doubling adds massive value because it transforms an ordinary 1-cent coin into a true rarity. The 1995 double die penny has been found mostly in circulation, which means it is possible that someone could come across one in their loose change without realizing its significance. Even a circulated example of this coin can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on its condition. Uncirculated examples graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC can bring even higher prices, sometimes exceeding tens of thousands of dollars. And at the top tier, where the coin is in pristine condition with strong doubling visible, one exceptional coin has sold in the collector market for nearly $3 million. That is an unimaginable return for a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent. It is important to understand why collectors are willing to spend so much. Coins like the 1995 double die penny are not just pieces of metal. They are pieces of history, accidents of the minting process that can never be repeated, and artifacts that represent rarity, demand, and desirability. The higher the rarity and the better the condition, the more collectors compete for ownership. In the world of numismatics, competition drives prices to incredible levels, and that is exactly what we see with this coin. The story of the 1995 penny also teaches us a lesson about paying attention to the coins in our pockets. Many people assume pennies are worthless or not worth saving, but some of the most valuable coins in American history started out as simple change that nobody looked at twice. If you find a 1995 penny in your collection, be sure to examine it closely. Look at the date, look at the word Liberty, and check for doubling in the inscriptions. If you think you might have one of these rare coins, it is worth sending it to a professional grading company for authentication. Even if it is not worth millions, you may still have a valuable collectible. The current market for rare coins is strong, and the 1995 double-die penny continues to attract attention. Collectors around the world are fascinated by the story of a coin that can be worth millions despite its humble origins. Prices can fluctuate depending on demand, condition, and rarity, but the fact remains that one specimen has already reached the $3 million mark, making it one of the most valuable pennies of modern times. So the next time you come across a handful of pennies, do not dismiss them as pocket change. Hidden treasures could be waiting right in your hand. The 1995 Lincoln 1-cent penny proves that with a little knowledge and a sharp eye, you could uncover a coin worth life-changing money. From its history as part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, to its iconic design, to its famous double-die variety, this coin has secured its place in numismatic history. And with a current market value that can climb into the millions, it remains a symbol of why coin collecting is such an exciting and rewarding hobby. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the 1995 Lincoln penny. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with other collectors and history lovers. Who knows, the next rare treasure might already be in your collection.